corner, if you like, although it's not a slip road down there. He had to go on the sort of grass and the curbs to do it. But he came out in the lead. His argument was that he was forced off and there was no way back on, and it was the safest thing to do. But on reflection, the stewards have decided that the opposite was the case and that he gained an advantage. So that is why he's all the way back down there. But Ed, very quick this weekend, as ever. 10th row of the grid, Michael Cool. Good day yesterday, not such a good day today for Michael. But hopefully from his point of view, the speed that has been shown for the Belgian driver will come through in this race. And Jan Jonk also back down there on the 10th row of the grid in kart 221. Started racing back in 2007 at the age of 8. 7th in the juniors last year, the Danish driver, making his senior debut this weekend. Row 11, Petra Betzel and Bas de Laat. Row 12, Shane Daly and Glenn Van Paris. Row 13, we've got the former European champion, Joey van Splunt, who's had to come through from the second chance final. Karol Dabski is there as well. Row 14, Antoine Lepesque. The American driver, Jack Weprin, is there as well. Jules Kazan and Antoine Barthon are on the 15th row of the grid, making that an all-French row. And then row 16, we've got, now this is one to watch, isn't it? Martin from Denmark, we've got on near the back of the grid, number 276, Martin Henkel Mortensen. Martin was up there in the top 6, top 7 for most of the pre-final and retired from the race with just one corner to go. So Martin, 16th row of the grid, surely quicker than that. Surely he'll be coming through. Luc Varley is alongside him. And then we've got Eugene Dennison. And then we've got another quick one at the back. Carl Fowley, who's been poorly today. And hopefully will be well enough to get through this race and get a good result, because I think he deserves better than he's got at the moment. Snow's falling down, so Carl might feel at home at least. It's got to be the Aberdeenshire weather here in Belgium, Ken.
Yeah, Aberdeenshire not been averse to the odd snow shower, have they, in recent months? And indeed most winters. Probably the most snowed upon part of the United Kingdom is the North Aberdeenshire coast. But on a happier note, glad to see Kyle Fowley making it to the final. This is his debut event in the Rotax Euro Challenge. As Chris Hartley said, gone extremely well. He's impressed both of us up here in the commentary box. And such a disappointment that he was ill this morning, not able to start in the pre-final, not able to continue in the pre-final. Some big names a little bit further back, as Chris drew your attention to. No bigger, of course, than Luc Varley, former world and European champion at this level. Joey van Splunteren, a series champion. And another current and former European and world champion, Harry Webb, because he was the closing champion in the juniors last year at European level and also at world level. Charlie Eastwood behind him, the world number 1, comes here. The Belfast Junior Sportsman of the Year. Never ever said that about a kart racer before. Sportsman of the Year, recognised by his capital city of Belfast. A 16-lap final for the Rotax Max Seniors. Harry Webb is on pole position and James Singleton joins him on the front row. The world number 1 is on row 2 with Connor Jupp. Well, that's not an even break and it's not a start. It's an aborted start. I'm not saying it was because it was an uneven break, but the evidence of our eyes pretty much opposite the start line is that formation lacked a little in integrity. Just picking up on some of the things that Chris Hartley said when reading the grid. Been very impressed with both Philip Moreen and Ludwig Moreen. But what a surprise to see Philip 3 rows further back than Ludwig. Piers Lehane, ordinarily you'd say a start on the inside of row 3 in the final is pretty much what you'd be happy with. That doesn't tell the story of the obstacle course that Piers Lehane has had to negotiate to get here. If there are any of our friends from down under who are sitting in the middle of the morning with the black, or the wee hours of the morning with their black coffee, hope that Piers gives you a good run, guys. If you are still tuned in, thank you for your continued interest. We know we've had a lot of interest in Oz. We know both from the texts and from the blogs, from the tweets. We've been learning from all sorts of aspects of the media. Thank you for being with us. Good old Oz. If my good mate Scotty Old happens to be down there, Scotty, one of these days you and I are going to do a call of a race together. So Harry Webb, 222, son of a European supercar, British and European supercar champion. James Singleton from Conway in the north of Wales, which is in the west of the United Kingdom, if your geography is a little bit suspect. We try again. Charlie Eastwood and Connor Jupp, row 2. Pierce Lehane and Ludwig Morin, row 3. 16 laps await as that looks level. We're away and we're racing, and a good start by James Singleton from the outside row of the grid, and Connor Jupp going with him, and immediately we've got this spoiled. Why Harry Webb was a little bit sluggish away, I don't know. He's in third place, Charlie Eastwood in fourth place, but as Chris Hartley gets his glasses up onto the debris, well, has that race been aborted, or are we just...
Philip Moran in that mess as well. One of the front runners all weekend long.
Just
right
seeing
at the back of the field.
Guys in slow motion. Certainly James Singleton and Connor Jupp got the considerable advantage from the inside row of Harry Webb on pole and Charlie Eastwood behind him. Those two are third and fourth at the moment as I read it. And just trying to interpret some of the things that have happened here. That's certainly James Singleton leading from Connor Jupp. Harry Webb is cart 222. Charlie Eastwood, cart 234 in third place.
Ed Brandy's way back as well. He got caught up in all of that.
Ed Brand, who it's just all gone wrong for. Well, Chris, it's a bit unkind of me if I say, hey, Chris, what happened? Because a little bit hard to interpret, but it was from the outside, wasn't it, that we got the fastest start? And where did the collisions first begin to...
a couple from the inside just wiped wide. And it was like the parting of the sea. The whole left side of the grid just went wide and parted off onto the grass. Must have been 12, 14 carts there, and if you're in amongst it, not much you could do but go with the flow, and off they all went. I mean, most of them didn't spin, but they just lost so much time on the grass going straight on. And Ed Brand, yes, well caught out in all that. Philip Moran is back down in 33rd place. Max Weinzierl got caught in it. He's 31st. Ludwig Moran got caught in it after all his brilliant efforts, like number 255. He's right at the back of the field. Michael Cool, Ed Brand.
But looking for some winners, Kyle Fowley gets up to 25th, I guess we can say, is a winner.
Singleton looking good there at the front of the field, isn't he, Ken?
Yeah, you go.
5 of them then in that lead group. Then, huge gap back to 6th position. Singleton leads, Juppy second. Eastwood sort of bogged down off the line. I can see him jumping up and down frantically in the seat just to try and lift his body weight off the rear axle for a few fractions of a second. But he's still thereabouts in 3rd place. Drivers having to negotiate through the snow now, which has suddenly started to fall fairly heavily upon their visors. That lead group of 5 also contains Harry Webb, who's dropped down to 4th place. And then in 5th place, also at the back of that lead group, is Oliver Norris going well. And then this huge gap back to Alvo Talvar, 4 seconds back he is in 6th place. And he equally has got something like a 2.5 second gap back to 7th because of this big split at the first corner, with Erie Foreman being in 8th place. Tihonen and Daly running in 9th and 10th. Another winner on that first lap, Martin Henkel Mortensen from the back of the field, 13th for the Dane at the end of lap number 1. And here, Ken, over the start-finish line, there could be a challenge for 2nd place here. Eastwood going for it up the inside. Fairly straightforward move, and Harry Webb goes through as well. So Harry Webb getting up into 3rd place. And so from 2nd down to 4th goes Connor Jupp on that occasion. And good move that from Eastwood. And Eastwood is flying right onto the tail of the race leader now as they head onto the back straight. Singleton has got company in this one.
Well, our friends in Nuts Corner and County Antrim, and indeed the whole of the island of Ireland, I'm sure you're in your numbers tuned in online if you're not here at Genk, and your boy's doing it again, and he does it there because as James Singleton moves to widen the angle for that hairpin to the left, Charlie says, well, I'll go straight forward and go in the lead, but James Singleton comes back at him. So the Irishman passed the Welshman, but it's the Welshman back in front. No, it isn't. The Irishman goes in, and Harry Webb says, how about an Englishman joining the fray? So Ireland leads, England 2nd, Wales 3rd. Charlie Eastwood has the lead at the start of lap 5, and Ollie Norris goes up into 3rd place. Chris, apart from the mayhem at the start, this is a great senior final as we're on lap 5 of a 16-lap race.
Good day for anyone called Norris so far, isn't it? Onto the back straight then we've got these 2 champions, the world champion and the junior champion, with Eastwood and Webb just having a little split now. Norris is 3rd. Singleton is down to 4th place, but by no means out of the running. Connor Jupp there in 5th position. Just looking at the lap times of Alvo Talvar in 6th place, because they're all fighting, and he's got clean track in front of him. He's done a 56.1. He was almost a second quicker than the lead group. So he's brought the gap down from 4 to 2.8 seconds all of a sudden. And it could well be 6 of them in this lead group in the next couple of laps. Still a very long way to go, of course. On the back straight they go then, and the top 2 tied together. Looking over his shoulder is Eastwood as well. He might, because right onto his tail now comes young Harry Webb. Didn't find a way through. Eastwood covered the line off because he knew what was coming and holds on to the lead of the race.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, exactly. Ken.
Harry Webb just biding his time momentarily. Well, no, not biding his time. And to some degree, you ask if Charlie was caught a little bit napping there. Harry Webb takes the lead on lap 6 for the second time, and the second time that Charlie is passed in that vein. James Singleton still back in 5th place, our early leader. Oh, and a nice move into 3rd place is that by Connor Jupp. Yep. Going past Ollie Norris. Yes, he executes it, and Connor Jupp now running in 3rd place. So, at the front, the 2 Tony carts. Harry Webb leads. Charlie Eastwood is in 2nd place. Connor Jupp is in 3rd. Oliver Norris 4th. They're in 2 groups of 2 initially because James Singleton a little bit detached now. And in 6th place, Arvo Tolvar, as Chris Hartley said, really working hard to catch these guys up. And those of you tuned in online, you may see what you think is a little bit of static or interference. They're little Belgian snowflakes, which we're seeing here for real here at Genk.
Webb and Eastwood then still with this 5-6 cart length lead over 3rd, 4th and 5th. Connor Jupp having now, as Ken described, getting into the 3rd place. James Singleton will be keen that top 2, the lead duo, do not get any further away. I want to make sure that Connor is kept on his toes and that they can bridge the gap, because he can see them getting further and further away at the moment. Talvar still there in 6th place in the 2-2-3 cart, the Estonian. Carl Fowley from the dead last on the grid, ill or not, he's up to 15th place, showing his real talent here as the race leaders come back onto the start-finish straight. Over the line they go. 7 laps of the race complete, and close again between the top 2. Eastwood trying to get back ahead of Harry Webb. Eastwood, the slight yellowy-green look to his helmet. Very similar colour schemes to the pair of them, but Webb is number 222. Eastwood behind him in number 234. And I just recognise it might be slightly difficult for you to identify the 2 of them on the online TV pictures, particularly with the snow coming down now. It doesn't seem to be affecting the lap times at all during the course of this race, and nobody twitching around really, so it's not heavy enough to have any real negative effect on these slick tyres. Certainly, Avo Talvar is coming at them now in 6th place. A couple more laps, I think he'll be with them, and making this a 6-way party.
Pierce Lehane, the quickest lap now, at 55.203. It's been a very up and down fortune, this meeting for Pierce Lehane. Is 27th on the track. That's misfortune, but boy, can he go. And the Aussie from Sydney, I think he's from Sydney side, really showing us what he's capable of, if in fact he's not going to be able to get anything like a podium place in this one. We're at the half race distance then. 8 laps gone, 8 to go. And at the half race distance, Harry Webb from England leads Charlie Eastwood from Ireland. And Connor Jupp, another Englishman, is 3rd. Behind them, James Singleton of Wales. Oliver Norris of England completing the top 5. And getting closer and closer, as Chris Hartley has pointed out, has been the case for the last few laps. Estonian driver Arvo Talvar is in 6th place. Those 6 are well clear of the chasing pack. The chasing pack is led by Nick Tihonen of Finland.
Kenny Vermeulen must have got caught out in the first corner incident as well, but he's fought his way back up to 16th place. Philip Moran has fought his way back up to 17th position. Ludovic Moran still down in 23rd place. Lehane, he's way down there now, but he actually did survive the first lap. And I think it was 11th or 12th at the end of the first lap, so something subsequent to that happened to him. So 55.4s for the 2 race leaders, but Connor Jupp 55.3, James Singleton 55.3, and Norris 55.3. They're closing up to the top 2 now, and you can see there, Ken, over on the far side, the top 4 are now together.
But we have some dramatic news from officialdom, Chris. Cart number 231, Pierce Lehane, is going to receive a black flag for deliberate contact. Cart 241, Karol Dabski, is going to receive a black flag for deliberate contact. So all the praise we've given to Pierce Lehane, I'm afraid this is ending in tears. Black flag for Pierce Lehane and a black flag for Karol Dabski.
Now, James Singleton gets a good run out of the last corner. He's onto the tail of Connor Jupp. He's just pushing up to the tail of the top two carts. Norris is almost with them as well now. To make this a 5-way break at the front of the field. 0.8 of a second covering the lead 5 carts. The snow getting heavier and heavier here as the leaders go now through. They're in the second half of the race. 10 of the 16 laps having been complete. Harry Webb leading the way, but Charlie Eastwood closing up to him under brakes at the end of the back straight. You can see them there, all whizzing through on your camera pictures, and you can see the gaps back to anybody else that's outside the top 5. He's huge there. It's a big wait for anybody else to come through.
And Connor Jupp going second, I think, Chris. Connor Jupp getting in front of Charlie Eastwood.
He has made it stick coming out of the corner as well. Singleton is there in 4th place still. So it's Webb now from Jupp, and then in 3rd place Eastwood. Yep, just about. He had to think about getting Connor Jupp back there on the way into the last corner, and now he's thinking about it again. Little tap on the shoulder as they go over the start-finish line, but Connor Jupp deep into the corner, just about holds onto it through turn 1, and so it is still 3rd place for Eastwood, 4th for Singleton.
Well, I'm afraid that I'm the bearer of bad tidings again, because Lennart van Bogart, who has driven extremely well into the top 10 in 7th place, has been under scrutiny, and I do believe that there will be a penalty being assessed very shortly. I'll keep you posted on that one. Lennart van Bogart in 7th place in kart 250, under scrutiny, a potential penalty to be assessed. And
Ken, James Singleton getting back to 3rd place at the end of the back straight, so he's coming back at just the right point now, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure. Good timing of the race. We're on lap 11. This is going to be the start of lap 13. We're on 11 completed. We're on lap 12. This is the start of the 13th lap in a 16-lap final.
You'll laugh at James Singleton. He's so quick out of that last corner, isn't he? Every time he comes out, he gets held up, though, by whoever's in front of him, and he has to give him a little tap on the rear bumper, but he carries great speed coming out of that last corner.
Luke Varley drives out of the event. Luke Varley, the former world champion, drives out of the event at the end of lap 12.
Ed Brand still down in 16th, and change of lead. Connor Jupp at the end of the back straight goes through ahead of Harry Webb. Singleton still right there in 3rd place. Singleton trying to move. Look at Harry Webb, last dash move on the way into the hairpin to get the lead back, and James Singleton now carries the speed. He's in 2nd place, coming towards you now. There are a gaggle of carts, but it's Webb from Singleton. Connor Jupp is 3rd, but he's under attack now from Eastwood, who tries to come past him but doesn't quite manage to do so. And Avo Talvar has got up into 4th place while all that was happening as well, and they're chopping and changing again through the final turn, and Connor Jupp suddenly drops to the back of that field. So it's Webb and then Singleton at the start of this new lap, with Eastwood there in 3rd place, and down the inside goes Norris to get 4th place back here. Tremendous stuff. 6 or 7 overtaking manoeuvres there, Ken, in the space of a couple of seconds, as Connor Jupp finishes that off by going 2nd, and then James Singleton runs right there. Is that Eastwood or Webb he's gone into? He's gone into the lead. We've got a spinner there, and I think it's Charlie Eastwood, is it, that's gone wide, or is it Webb? It's Webb.
Harry Webb in 222 took the spin.
Eastwood's 3rd. So Harry Webb with Singleton going wheel to wheel with him, and they've done that a couple of times in this race. Singleton didn't relent, Harry didn't relent, and Harry's got into a spin and dropped right down the order. So Singleton, Norris has picked up 2nd place because of all of this, and then it's Eastwood. And look, Avo Talvar is 4th.
Yes, Avo Talvar has spilt some places, though. He did all the hard work and got himself way up there, and somehow hung himself out to dry momentarily. But, well, more changes again as we go into the start of lap 15. James Singleton is kart 204. Ollie Norris is kart 254. Charlie Eastwood is kart 234. Avo Talvar 233. Martin Henkel Mortensen, who had that misfortune in the pre-final, well, he'd have settled for a 5th place in the final, wouldn't he? He's a little bit detached. Well, let's be honest, he's a lot detached from the front-running 4. But with 1.5 laps to go in this senior final, Martin Henkel Mortensen should cruise into 5th place finish from here. In front of him, where are the podium places going? It's all to race for. 1.25 laps remaining. On screen, you see the 4 front runners. They are James Singleton, Oliver Norris, Charlie Eastwood, and kart 223 Avo Talvar. Coming round to start the 16th and final lap. Chris Hartley will call them home.
I remember, Ken, Ollie Norris, who could win this race, could be on the podium, is in 2nd place. He's going for the lead. Ollie Norris leads the race. Singleton on the curves, back down the inside of him. And Charlie Eastwood getting in the mix as well. Talvar through. Norris is bumped back down to 4th place. 2nd to 1st, back down to 4th. And is there going to be another change here? Webb trying to get the lead of the race now from James Singleton. I was about to say Norris at the start of the day was on the ferry home almost, because he was in the second chance final. He was not even in the top 6, and he just scraped into the pre-final. And he might still get on the podium here. It's been a terrific drive, even if he finishes in 4th place. Right, few corners to go. James Singleton, can you hang on to this? Harry Webb comes towards us. This is where he's been doing all of his overtaking. He tries around the outside. We wait for them to come back into our view. They're side by side. Singleton pushed wide onto the curbs. And Webb goes through. Eastwood goes through. Norris goes through into 3rd as well. And the checkered flag now awaiting Ken. Dramatic.
I'm not sure Harry Webb's in there, though.
Oh, Eastwood, sorry. Eastwood, blimey. Eastwood, fantastic stuff there. He wins the race. He went wheel to wheel with James Singleton into that final turn. There was just a couple of seconds where we didn't see them on screen. We couldn't see them from the box. And they emerged wheel to wheel. And Eastwood there showing why he's the world champion. Singleton will be a bit miffed to have ended up that race. Not even on the podium. That's a real hard knock for him. Singleton onto the curbs there. So Eastwood wins. Ivo Talvar comes through to take 2nd place. And
perhaps a little bit fortuitous, but in another way,
he worked hard.
More than he deserved for the hard work.
He did work hard to join that group in the first place, didn't he? Where did Harry Webb end up? 9th. Good comeback from Philip Moran. Yeah. From that first corner shunt. He right at the back of the field. He comes through to 8th place. So Charlie Eastwood wins the race. Ivo Talvar 2nd. Oliver Norris 3rd. James Singleton led, Ken, with 2 corners to go. And you'll feel a bit like the Nearly man again. Martin Henkel Mortensen also a great drive from the back of the field. And Carl Fowley 6th place for the young Scot.
In many ways, a stunning drive, wasn't it? Kyle Fowley on his Rotax Euro Challenge debut. 2 to go and race the pre-final this morning. Starts last in the final and comes home in 6th place. Just go back to the James Singleton leading with 2 turns to go. I've never been a racer, Chris, or not at this sport. I've done something else in a different sphere. But James Singleton looked over one shoulder and then the other, approaching, what, third last turn. Just wonder if getting your head down and going as smoothly and quickly as you can, closing the door if you have to, might have been a better idea than perhaps just trying to drift into the right position. On the other hand, of course, he's going to say, hey, I'd have led this one to the checkered flag if I hadn't have been clattered off. But that's racing.
Knew what was coming, didn't he? I suppose that was the problem. He knew that he could hear them all queued up behind him, alongside him, around him. We had the dramatic moment with Singleton involved in that dramatic wheel-to-wheel contact with Harry Webb, of course, as well, at what, 3/4 race distance, and Harry pulling off some blinding moves. But it was a case of James not wanting to give in either, and I guess a racing incident. They made contact, and one of them was always going to come off worse, and it was Harry Webb who did come off worse. So he's down in 9th place, but he has certainly had a pretty strong start to his campaign in seniors, and yet some good, really good, strong drives through the order. There's the point standings there. So Charlie Eastwood, even if he finished 2nd in that race, he would have had enough points by the looks of things to have the championship lead. James Singleton has to settle for 2nd in the championship. That's still a good work for him, but I think he would have been desperate probably for the race win. Ivo Talvar, 3rd place. Really hard work to join that group, because he had a 4.2 second disadvantage to try and make up at one point, and he did it very well indeed. Harry Webb will be joint 3rd in the championship at the end of this weekend. Oliver Norris, what a fantastic performance from Oliver. There ain't too many drivers that come from the middle of the field to get on the podium. Very, very rare for somebody to be in the second chance final. Not even in the top 6 after about 3 or 4 laps. He was down in 7th, 8th place, and then he comes through, gets on the back of the grid, has a stormer in the pre-final, and has a really good drive in the final to get on the podium. So Ollie Norris, you know, it was not very far away from going home 4 or 5 hours ago, and he ends up with a terrific result. Philip Moran also, gutsy drive from the back after disappointment at the start of that race for the Dan Holland driver. He's 6th in the championship on 69 points. Kenny Vermeulen 7th with 68. Nicholas Tionen 67 points. Oliver Myers 66 and 63 points for Ludwig Moran, who could also count himself a bit unlucky in that race. And everything else that went on, Connor Jupp was the other one that fell by the wayside, wasn't he? 26th in the end. So Connor, somebody else that strong weekend and just falling at the final hurdle, I'm afraid. Fastest lap went to Kenny Vermeulen. Again, sort of a reasonable weekend for him, but it might have been better. So the Strawberry Racing team will be pleased that their man Charlie Eastwood leads the championship, having got the lead of the race with wheel rubbing really with James Singleton. That corner you're looking at now at the top of the screen through that left-hander. No doubt there'll be one or two different views from the drivers about the moves, but it was almost a case, I think, Ken, of James was in the wrong place. You almost didn't want to lead that race with 2 or 3 corners to go, did you?
Yeah, it sounds a silly thing to say, but yes, it was almost as if you would have wanting to be in that position just coming out of the final turn and not going into the third last turn. Because make no bones about it, the likes of Charlie Eastwood were not racing for championship points in second, third or fourth. They were going for the out-and-out victory. And as you said in your answer to my own question I posed to you, James Singleton knew perfectly well that that was the case. Just again, let's emphasise the success stories as Chris and myself see them just beyond the podium, guys. Martin Henkel Mortensen, the Dane, we are most impressed with him, coming home 5th in the final. Kyle Fowley, the Scotsman, on his debut. Really, really good drive into 6th place, having missed the pre-final. And a little bit further back where there's been some misfortune, I have been tremendously impressed, as I've said, with all of the Maureen trio, and certainly Ludwig will be, shall we say, not well served by a 19th place finish after the way that he worked his way forward. On the other